Hello, I'm Dr. Zilch, and welcome to ZilchOff, the channel where I sit down and talk to you about movies. Today we're going to be talking about sequels, but before we do that, let's talk a bit about movie formulas. Movie formulas are exactly what they sound like, like movies that follow a formula. They don't have to be made by the same people or share the same actors. It's more along the lines of how the story is told, or what even is the story. For example, a movie formula may be you got an all-white society, you're neat and organized and like anal, but then you introduce this black character who's all hip and fun, and the white society is having a difficult time trying to get used to this arrival. That's a movie formula, and movies that fall in the category are like Trading Places, Bringing Down the House, Who's Your Caddy, and Sister Act. And I'm not saying that all movies that fall under a certain formula are the same movie. Some movies can be very different, some movies can be bad, some movies can be good. It's the writer's job to play with the formula to make it interesting, to make it seem fresh. You don't want to walk into a movie theater, sit down, first 10 minutes, you say, wow, this movie reminds me a lot of this movie. It needs to be an original idea. It's when the writers start relying on the formula itself to be a good movie that they produce complete trash. And to me, that just seems like a massive money grab. You're making a movie, well, here's a formula for the movie. The work is already done for you. All you have to do is just put it into action. Where's the creative process? Well, I find that movie formulas lack that creative process. Now we talk about sequels. You can make a movie based off a formula and it turns out really good. The second you make a sequel out of that movie, you've automatically created in its own a more specific type of movie formula. The work is already done for you. That's the biggest money grab you could do in the movie industry. If you like the first movie, of course you're gonna go see the second movie because you think it's gonna be as good as the first one. So how different can a sequel be if you're trying to live up to the first one? You might as well just remake the same movie, and in a sense, that's what they're doing. Movie companies are remaking the same movie over and over and over again because they think that's what the audience wants. Guys, you don't want that. You want new movies. You want original movies. You want fresh ideas. You don't want to go watch the same movie over and over again. So what I'm trying to say is the second you start working on a sequel, your creative process is limited. You can't make the movie too different than the original, or else you lose fans. You lose money. So if you're making it as identical to the original as possible, you want the audience to capture that feeling they had when they watched the first one. Why not just remake the first movie? Okay, so this is my rule for making sequels. This is the Zilch scale, the Zilch sequel scale. When you make a sequel, you either keep everything on camera or you keep everything off camera. So for example, when you're keeping everything on camera, what you see on camera, you see characters, you see the setting, you see the story happening, unfolding in front of you. Keep all of that. You're making the same movie. That's a remake. And apparently remakes do really well. I personally don't want to go see a movie that's already been made, but it works. You got remakes, you got Beauty and the Beast. How many times has that movie been remade? I don't even know. I don't even count. Why did they use that as an example? I have no idea. It's trying to be the opposite. You keep everything off camera. So those are, what is that? Writers, producers, directors, actors off camera, characters on camera. Keep all of that off camera. When you make a sequel to a movie, you wind up with a completely different movie, good on its own. And that to me is the best kind of sequel, because it makes you want to see more. That is, if you liked it. Guys, this is the perfect example for Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. 3 movies that share the same director, writers, actors, editing style, sense of humor, everything off camera. Whereas on camera, you got different characters, you got a different story. I want to say different settings, but all the movies take place in a small town. But they all take place in a different small town. So these movies are perfect, because if you liked one, you're probably going to like the other two. I do. I like all of them. Making sequels is a lot like an empty glass, you know? The glass represents new content. You have an empty glass, you're just remaking the same movie. You have a full glass, completely different movie, but like let's say all the background things are the same. Like I said, the Cornetto trilogy. Filling the glass halfway is your typical sequel. It changes it, but not too much. But it's still really similar to the original. It's like making the same movie. It's easier to leave the cup empty or to just overflow the cup, make it full. If you're like this middle is where you gotta pour it and you miss it off a bit. Like, guys, can we please have more movies like the Cornetto trilogy? Anyways, thanks for watching. ZilchOff. I'm your host, Dr. Zilch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscrizzle. I'll see you in the next video. Pow, 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 pow. Dab. And I'm gonna turn on the camera.